Hello and welcome to Bahrain Now, your source of local initiatives, happenings, talents, and trends. I'm your host, Khaled Hijris, here to walk you through our exciting lineup of segments and personalities from around Bahrain. So don't go away, we'll be right back. The National Space Science Authority, NSSA, has recently announced the opening of registration for all programmers, scientists, designers, storytellers, technicians, and those passionate about space sciences and students to participate in the 6th edition of the Space Applications Hackathon Challenge. The hackathon is organized by the NSSA and NASA and will be held next month in Bahrain for the first time in 2 different locations. The first will be at the University of Bahrain in Skhir, and the second will be in Bahrain Polytechnic in Isa Town. And to talk more about such a vital event, we are very pleased to be joined here at the studio by Senior Engineer at Bahrain Space Team, Mr. Ashraf Khater. Welcome, how are you doing today?
Thank you very much, thank you for having me, I'm fine.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, World Space Week is celebrated by over 95 nations throughout the world, and it's defined as the international celebration of science and technology. Could you tell us a little bit about what are the NSSA's contributions to this regard?
Yes, so the National Space Science Agency of Bahrain has always been active in the International Space Weeks and aligning its initiatives with the international goal of encouraging space sciences, technology, and engineering. And to achieve this goal, the NSSA have organized a bunch of space-related events, courses, lectures, and the media team at the agency has been very active in social media to engage both students and professionals alike. The aim of these initiatives is to highlight the role of space sciences in Bahrain and encourage innovation and technology in the kingdom.
Brilliantly said. Clearly, I mean, there's a lot of dedication that goes behind this. Now, what is NASA's Space Apps Challenge and how can participants register?
The NASA Space App Challenge is a yearly hackathon that brings people from different backgrounds, different experiences to solve real-world problems, and they will present it with challenges. These challenges range from climate change, space travel, planetary explorations. And we are proud in the NSSA to hold this the 6th version of this hackathon in the kingdom. It will be held on the 5th and 6th of October, and it will be in 2 locations, as you said previously. Where the first location is the University of Bahrain in Sghir, and the second is in Bahrain Polytechnic in Isa Town. And anyone who's interested in participating can register either through the NSSA website or follow the link in the bio in the NSSA's page and Instagram.
Brilliant. And what are the qualifications or requirements, if any, for anyone to register for the hackathon?
The hackathon is open to people from all ages, all professionals, even for retired people, they can participate. The only requirement is willing to engage with the data provided by NASA, and the participants are encouraged to form teams from 2 to 6 members, but they should have range in expertise from coding, problem solving, data analysis, and so on.
It's great to see how this event is open to such a diverse group of people. And on that note, I'd like to ask you, how do you envision that this event will contribute to promoting a culture of innovation among the youth and the rest of the local community?
Yes, so this hackathon promotes innovation and thinking, where it forces, not forces, but it encourages participants to solve real-world problems using the data that provided, cutting-edge data provided by NASA to solve issues. It also, this event encourages people to work together, to be innovative, think outside the box, to come up with solutions for problems that are happening in the world right now.
Brilliantly said, and I really enjoyed that at the beginning of that you used the term encourage, and I want to build on that and ask you, are there any rewards or incentives that encourage people to get involved in the hackathon? Is there anything to be won?
Of course, in both locations at the end of the 2nd day, there will be an award ceremony where a group of experts will give awards to 3 teams in each location. So in total it will be 6. And all participants in the hackathon are encouraged to participate in the global awards, where an expert committee from NASA will be judging all the participants from all over the world, and they can win international awards in 10 categories.
Brilliantly said. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you the best of luck with the hackathon.
Thank you very much for having me, and we hope to see a big turnover for this event this year, and best of luck to all the participants.
I'm certain we'll see that.
Thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, the Kingdom of Bahrain continues to invest in the space sciences. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back with more on Bahrain Now. The adventurer Mohamed Isa has accomplished the second milestone in his quest to conquer the 7 Summits Challenge, which is an ambitious goal to scale the highest peak of each of the 7 continents. The mountaineer climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest in Africa, at 5,895 meters above sea level, a total distance of 64 kilometers both ways. Earlier this year, he became the first Bahraini to conquer Mount Kosciuszko, the highest mountain in mainland Australia, at 2,228 kilometers, a challenge comprising a 26.1 km track. And to talk more about these very exciting adventures, we are pleased to welcome the adventurer, Mr. Mohamed Isa. Welcome. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Well, I mean, we have quite a lot of, if you'll pardon the pun, we have quite the mountain to get through with these questions, and I'm quite excited to hear about your experience.
My pleasure.
First of all, congratulations on these amazing accomplishments. What we'd like to know about first is, where did this passion for mountaineering start?
I always tell people you need to reinvent yourself every now and then. And I have been traveling to Europe, and I've been to different mountains, and I enjoy the panoramic views wherever I go. In fact, I've visited the Jewel of the Alps in Innsbruck in Austria. And I remember seeing the beautiful panoramic view, and I had shed tears at that time. So I like panoramic views, and I like going really high.
Brilliantly said. And the 7 Summits Challenge is one of the adventures that, that really places adventure in the center stage of world projects. So what can you tell us about it and your interest in being a part of it?
All right. So in May 2022, I've trekked to Everest Base Camp. And throughout the trek, I kept hearing about the 7 Summits Challenge, and I thought, what's that? So when I asked, somebody told me that it's about climbing the mountain, the highest mountain in each of the continents, and I thought, this is a nice project. So it started from my trip in May 2022, and I thought, why not do this?
Brilliantly said, and more panoramic views for you to discover.
Oh, absolutely.
So what are the milestones in your quest to conquer the 7 Summits Challenge?
My plan was to start with Kilimanjaro in 2022. Unfortunately, at that time, the timing of the trips didn't suit me. So I waited until 2023. In 2023, all the expedition companies in Oman, they did not have any trips to Kilimanjaro. So I was frustrated. I started this challenge in 2022, and here it comes, the end of 2023, and I haven't climbed any mountain. So I thought, let me go to my good friend. His name is Sulaiman al-Na'bi. He's from Oman. Not only he climbed the 7 summits, he has achieved what they call the Super Grand Slam when it comes to mountaineering. So I asked him, do I have to go with a group? Do I have to hire a company to help me to climb Kosciuszko? He said, you can do it on your own. Literally, he said, just put your boots on and walk to the summit. And I thought, okay, let me just book my ticket to Australia. And one of the funniest things that happened to me in Australia is that I went to Canberra, the capital of Australia, and I had to drive from Canberra to Thredbo, where Kosciuszko is located. And as you know, in Australia, they drive on the right. So it was a very challenging time, driving for 4 hours to reach the destination of Thredbo. And that's how I started my 7 Summit Challenge.
And was driving on the right-hand side, would you say that that's a bit harder than climbing mountains?
Oh yes, because every time I wanted to give a signal to go right or left, I would hit the wiper and clean the windows. So that was a very challenging, and exiting from a roundabout, I had to be extra careful.
I suppose that was a journey in and of itself. And now, what was your feeling achieving these milestones? You've accomplished some great things that I think a lot of people wouldn't see in their lifetime. How does that make you feel?
Well, I feel fantastic. In fact, while I was waiting to get inside the studio, I was showing the team over there a few of my pictures. We took so many pictures of the stars when we were climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, because there is no light pollution and the stars are so clear. And with a regular smartphone, you can capture so many stars. So the things we see, I think, yeah, people would pay the price to go and climb to just what we see. Because in Kilimanjaro, we were sleeping above the clouds. We were walking above the clouds. And that's a feeling that I cannot describe with words.
I can imagine it. It sounds completely alien. Now, you've described Mount Kosciuszko's climbing challenge as, and I really like this comparison, walking from the University of Bahrain's Khair campus to the Avenues Bahrain Mall, but uphill. So, first of all, what can you tell us about that experience? And then secondly, how does it compare to your experience of Kilimanjaro?
Sure. When you explain your trips to other people, they cannot comprehend what you have been through. So I thought, let me find something in Bahrain that depicts the distance from the start of the climb until the summit of Kosciuszko. And I found that the campus of University of Bahrain in Sakhir is, when you take that as a starting point and then you go to the Avenues Mall, that's the same distance I crossed. But as you said, uphill. And when I say uphill, it's really uphill, because I underestimated Kosciuszko, and I think this was one of the mistakes I have made, because when I go back to my trip to Everest Base Camp, we were at the height of 5,364 meters. So to me, when I hear and see that Kosciuszko is only 2,228 meters, I thought this is a walk in the park. It wasn't. It was uphill, and I had to go through different zones. Sometimes it's a forest, sometimes it's an alpine desert, sometimes it's just the mountains. And what is hard about Kosciuszko is you never see the mountain. So you climb, you climb, you climb. It took me around 4 hours to just reach 1,900 meters, and then it becomes easier. But the challenge becomes you don't see the mountain. So if you're a swimmer in the Olympics, for example, and you see the end of the line, you can swim faster. But in my case, I couldn't see the mountain. So it was very tiring not to see your target and trying to achieve it. So I only saw the summit of Kosciuszko around 1.5 kilometers from where I ended on the 1,900 meters high, because there was a restaurant over there. It's the highest restaurant in Australia, and I couldn't help but have a pizza at that time, just to take a break.
Well, I don't think a lot of people can say that they've had a pizza on the mountain.
No, not at all. Now, going back to comparison with Kilimanjaro, there is no comparison at all. There's no comparison. So Kilimanjaro is almost 6,000 meters, but it's a hard climb. Let me just give you an idea. I had a problem sleeping in tents. So the first night I woke up at 12:30. Second night I woke up at 1, and I couldn't sleep. The night of the summit I didn't sleep any single minute. And the summit started at 10 p.m. So you can imagine I'm sleepless for a few days, and now I have to summit. The summit takes 8 hours. And when you reach the summit, you cannot rest. When we reached the summit, it was minus 20. Yeah. Minus 20, yeah. So when we reach the summit, you just take pictures and descend. The descent itself is very hard. I'm still suffering. My toes are still suffering from the trip. It's very slippery, very soft sand, small stones, the perfect conditions for slips.
Definitely.
Yeah. So there is no comparison when you look at the two mountains.
Wow, okay. I mean, it doesn't sound like you're a fan of trekkable terrain, I will say that much. So I'm sure that, as terrifying as that sounds to me, you're looking for the next thrill.
Oh, absolutely.
So what's next on the agenda?
Next on the agenda is the highest mountain in Europe. It's called Mount Elbrus. It's in Russia. And hopefully next year I'll just check it off from the list.
Hopefully, and I mean, we've talked a little about this, especially since the fact that you're still suffering from the climb. But could you tell us a bit about some of the difficulties that one can expect to do when they're getting into mountaineering?
First of all, you need to plan mentally. You need to be mentally resilient. Second of all, you need to be physically fit. Now, mental resilience is very important. Let me go back to Kilimanjaro and just give you more insights on the climb. So I told you I was having sleepless nights, and we left the camp at 10 p.m. for a plan to reach at 6 a.m. with the sunrise. During the climb, I had a camel bag where I drink water through a pipe. This pipe froze. Ooh, wow. So I couldn't drink water for so many hours. Someone from Oman, his name is Hamad, he said, come drink from my pipe. I said, yours is frozen as well. So what do you do when you are hit with these situations? You need to be very mentally resilient. So we reached a point called Stella Point. Stella Point, it gives you a hope. You're very close now. At that time, I was exhausted, and I thought, do I go back or do I continue? Because if you go back, if you go and proceed to the summit, you need to go back all the way. So I thought, I didn't come all this way not to carry the flag of Bahrain on Stella Point. I want to carry it next to the summit. So I pushed myself, and that's called resilience. Despite what you're suffering, the hardship, you need to move on. The other part is physical training. How do you train? Do you go on hikes? For me, this year I have had 3 trips to Nepal and Kathmandu, where I had different hikes just to prepare myself, apart from what I was doing in Bahrain. In Bahrain, as you know, we don't have mountains, we don't have hills. So the only way you train is you train in the gym. You use the Stairmaster or the cross trainer so that you strengthen especially your legs and your core. So you need to train very hard and expect one thing when you go to any mountain. Your body can collapse. How is that? Because you are moving into higher levels and the oxygen level is getting lower and lower and lower. So how does your body respond to the lower oxygen levels? This is something you cannot simulate when you are back in Bahrain or in any other country. So mental preparation, physical preparation are key to success when it comes to mountains.
Brilliantly said. I mean, that's a thing that I don't think a lot of people actually take into consideration, is the fact that you are going into different, almost like atmospheres when you're climbing mountain. You're not really on Earth anymore.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, this is a beautiful segue into my next question, which is, I mean, if anybody has an interest in mountaineering or feel that inkling to travel like you to places where most people like myself would like to stay far away from,
Yeah.
like what would your advice be to such individuals?
Start small before you go big. That's very simple. So you can go to easy hikes. We have several hiking trails next to us in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia. Start from there, and then you can go to Oman. They have different and beautiful trails in Oman, and go gradually. When I say I'm going for the 7 Summit Challenge, it doesn't mean I'm just going for 7 mountains. I have to go to different mountains before I can reach the 7 summits. So you take it gradually. You cannot just jump. You cannot be on an airplane and just parachute yourself on the summit of Everest, because that doesn't work.
I can imagine that would not end well. And you mentioned earlier you were showing some photos to the team, and I'm sure that these are experiences that even if you do document them, you'll never really get the full impact of them, but it'll definitely be something worth seeing. Do you have any plans to document your journeys?
I have an account on Instagram. It's called Nomad973, where I document all these journeys, but I'm planning to release a documentary film on our trek to Everest Base Camp with the team at that time. We already recorded the raw footage of the film, and we are in the editing stage. So that will be a great starting point for anyone who wants to see what happens on the mountain, because we were just sitting, the 6 of us, and talking about our experiences. And of course, later on, I'll be adding videos and photos from the trek so that we take you with us on the trek.
Brilliantly said, and we wish you all the best going forward. I'm pretty sure, hopefully, the next time we see you, you'll have completed the summit.
Hopefully.
Safe and sound.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned and remember to keep reaching high, and stay tuned for more here on Bahrain Now. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at what's going on beyond the studio in the following report.
The ozone layer is a fragile shield in the Earth's atmosphere that absorbs harmful ultraviolet radiation and protects life on the planet. September 16 is designated as International Ozone Day to commemorate the 1987 Montreal Protocol, which aims to phase out ozone-depleting materials. This year, under the theme, the Montreal Protocol Advancing Climate Action, Bahrain and the global community celebrate the protocol's role in ozone recovery and climate change reduction, mainly through the Kigali Amendment, which reduces HFCs and enhances refrigeration efficiency. Bahrain is actively involved in global ozone production by ratifying international agreements such as the Vienna Convention. The kingdom also implemented regulations to ban ozone-depleting materials and is implementing projects to help sectors gradually eliminate these materials, targeting a 73.5% reduction from baseline levels by next year. Additionally, Bahrain has launched training programs for refrigeration workers to further improve technical practices in line with international standards.
Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you for watching, and you can always reach out to us on our social media accounts shown below. We love to hear from you. This was Khaled Hijris, and until next time, good night and God bless.